All right, welcome to today's session of microeconomics. So we had started this question paper in the previous session and we would like to continue with it. I believe we were on question, we were on question 12 going into question 13. So we completed question 12 and we were getting into question 13. All right, so question 13 reads, if products A and B are substitutes, products B and C are complements, and the markets for products A and B are unrelated, which of the following statements regarding the markets for products A, B, and C is true? Then we have the different statements that have been given. So we've been given a scenario where two products are substitutes and other two products are complements, and the markets for two products are unrelated, and it states that which one of the following statement regarding the markets is true. A decrease in the price of a product will result, of product A will result in an increase in the demand for product B. A decrease in the price for product A will result in an increase in the demand for product C. An increase in the price for product B will result in an increase in the demand for product C. An increase in the price for product B will result in an increase in the demand for product A. I'm not sure if I'd confirmed whether my screen is visible. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible. It's just a little bit small, but it is visible.
All right, thank you. All right. So here's question 13. And as always, we open the floor for discussions so that we assess to what extent do we understand these concepts and make corrective actions. Anyone would want to try this one concerning the markets?
Yes.
Yes, come
in. Okay, so I chose B. Yeah? I wrote something down because I did this a while back, so I didn't want to forget. I said A and B are substitutes, which means if A increases, B demand should increase. But the markets are unrelated, meaning whether an increase or a decrease, it does not affect B. And then I said B and C are components, which means if demand of B increases, then demand for C should increase. That's how I just wrote it when I was answering it, so that when the question comes, I kind of remember what led me to B. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
All right, so B is stating that a decrease in the price of product A will result in an increase in the demand for product C. All right, so products, what is the relationship between product A and C? Because we've been told A and B are substitutes and B and C are complements, and A and B markets are unrelated. So do we have any established relationship between products A and C? Can we establish any relationship there?
Between A and C?
Yes.
Remember, A and C, ne?
Yes.
They are what is it? Let me just think. So A and B, they are substitutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now they're in different markets. Ne? They're in different markets. So now it says that B is a complement of C. Ne? B is a complement of C. So like I said, how I thought of it was, okay, so if a decrease in the price of product A will result in an increase in the demand of product C, because why I was thinking that, I was saying, okay, so product A is a substitute of product B, but are not in a related market. Let me just read this
So
my
is there any
answer again.
relationship? Okay, so is there any relationship between A and C? We have a relationship between B and C, but do we have a relationship between A and C?
I'm just trying to analyze my answer. I'm coming back to you. Ne? Give me
Okay.
a few seconds there.
Okay.
Yeah, anyone else can add if they want to, or
All right.
subtract.
All right. Anyone else
Who
wants to support his assertion or goes with his assertion, or anyone with a different view? Anyone with a different view or goes with the same element? Suppose you're in an exam scenario, which one are you going to be choosing? Which one are you going to be choosing given an exam scenario? Okay, kindly mute your mics if you are not speaking. Kindly mute your mics if you are not speaking to the panel.
Snake, can you please mute your mic?
All right, so let me come in with, okay, let's start with the one that has been given. We have two products. So the easiest way to go about it is to try and, can someone mute their mics? Someone, as long as you're not speaking, can you please mute your mic? You can only unmute it if you're speaking. There's someone who's typing. I can't see who exactly that is. Okay. All right, so the easiest way to go about this is to try and to picture it in a real world scenario where you can bring it into tangible products that we know. All right, so with A and B that are substitutes, and the way in which they are substitutes, they are in unrelated markets. All right, then we have B and C, which are complements, which means that you can use product B to complement product C and make it either a single product or use it in conjunction with that product in terms of use. But between A and C, it's difficult for us to establish a relationship because it will be sort of like an assumption that we are making, that since A and B are substitutes, maybe they might use product A to complement product C, but since they're in unrelated markets, it might not entirely be true. All right. So, for instance, if you are to bring it into this scenario, okay, I have two scenarios. I will try to pick these two scenarios into which one exactly fits into this. I'm thinking about diesel and gasoline, or diesel and petrol. Diesel and petrol can be said to a certain extent to be substitutes. Either you're going by the use of diesel or you're going by the use of petrol. But your use of petrol has to be in relation to if you're having a petrol engine or if you're having a diesel engine. So suppose the product C is a petrol engine. Therefore, that means there's a relationship between petrol and a petrol engine car, which is product C. So therefore, if product A is diesel, it means it cannot entirely be related to product C, which is a petrol engine. You cannot use diesel in a petrol engine. So therefore, that does not apply in this particular scenario. Or you can bring it into a scenario where we're having sugar and okay, brown sugar and white sugar. And there are people maybe that manufacture certain products that require white sugar and that do not require brown sugar. We understand that in these markets, they might be the markets for sugar, but in the way in which they relate to another product, it might be different in their nature. So therefore, we cannot establish a relationship between product A and product C, but we have an established relationship between products A and B, and also an established relationship between product B and C. So if you're comparing price increases and price decreases, we are not going to, that one is entirely out because we cannot fully come to a conclusion whether there is a relationship between those two products or not, since the moment that I'm eliminating here is option B, which says a decrease in price of product A, then it talks about product C. I would accept anything that talks about A and B, or B and C, or whatever it might be. So we understand now theoretically, before we get into the conclusions of whether a decrease will result in an increase, we understand that with substitutes products have a negative relationship, if I'm not mistaken. Let me try to look at it. So we're saying that the demand of another product is increasing, you'd have a decrease in the demand of another product. So that's a negative relationship between those two products. Then with complements, why does it sound queer in my mouth? Okay, I'll come back to it. Then with complements, the increase in the demand of a certain product will also result in the increase in the demand of another product, because these products are related or they are complementary in their nature. So for instance, we've talked about diesel and petrol engines and the petrol price. So obviously, as the price of a certain complement is increasing, it is likely going to result in the increase in the consumption of a certain product, which is used in conjunction with that particular product. For instance, let me run away from engines because they might be difficult to really envision. All right, let's look, for instance, accessories maybe that are used, or usually they use bread and butter. For instance, if the price of bread is increasing, you're likely going to have that increase resulting in a decrease in quantity demand. All right, so now it's making sense. So the increase in the price of bread results in a decrease in quantity demanded of the complementary product. So therefore, there is a negative relationship when they are complements, and there is a positive relationship when they are substitute, because the increase in the price of a certain product results in the increase in the quantity demanded of another product. So pardon me for that. So substitutes, there's a positive relationship. With complements, there's a negative relationship. So once we've established that with substitutes, the increase in the price of product A will result in the increase in quantity demanded, or in the demand of product B, vice versa. So therefore, that is an established relationship. And between B and C are complements. Therefore, that means that the increase in the price of product B will result in the decrease in the quantity demanded of product C, and the opposite is also true. All right. So of the answers that we've been given here, given this background of the positive relationship with substitutes and the negative relationship with complements, which one would be most likely to be the correct answer? Which one would be the most likely to be the correct answer? Anyone would want to try before I overly come in, so that maybe if I assess what I've been saying is making sense. So A, all right, come in.
So,
yes.
Look, when I did this thing, it made sense why I was choosing B. Ne? Hear me out here. Yeah. And then if I'm wrong, you just correct me.
Yes.
So
yes.
My thinking was, okay, because product A and B are substitutes, but they're not in a market which is related to each other. Ne? Then I said, okay, fine. Then I said, no, what if the price of B increases? Ne? So, okay, so it says a decrease in the price for product A will result in an increase in the demand for product C. So in my mind, I said, okay, the price for B increases, ne? Because of the substitute in nature versus A and B, and then it will result in an increase for C. Why? Because it's a complement. So if a price of B increases, then the price for C will also increase because they're complements. That's how
Yes.
I was looking at it. I don't know if that
Yes,
makes
yes,
sense.
yes. That makes sense. And if you had chosen option B, is it?
Yes, I chose B simply because of the word there that says they are not in the same, they are in an unrelated market. If they were in a related market, I would have chosen something else.
Okay, okay. All right. So you're saying that because they are in an unrelated market, a decrease in the price of product A will result in an increase in the demand for product C.
Yeah, because my thinking is, yes, that's what I'm saying. My thinking is the because A went down, automatically B will go up, and if B goes up, because C is a complement of B, that means the price of C will also go up.
All right. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
You're saying if the price of product A goes down, what is increasing? Is it the price of product B or the quantity demanded of product B?
The price.
The price of
the yeah. Let me see. Will result in an increase in the demand. Yes, the increase in the demand of C simply because the price of B has changed. Why has it changed? Because of the decrease
how
in the
is
price of A.
B? Is it increased or is it decreased?
The price of B has increased. Sorry,
Has
wait.
increased.
The price of B has the price of B has increased. Yeah. Hey, I'm confusing myself.
Increased.
Let me give other people a chance there. Yo.
All right. Okay, let me just correct that confusion now. Because the moment you say the price of B increases, we should expect a decrease in the demand for product C because they are complements. The moment you say the price of product B has increased, according to your assumption, we should expect a decrease in the demand for product C. That should be expected because there's a negative relationship. Remember, their B and C are complements. So as the price of B is increasing, the quantity demanded or the demand of product C has to increase. It has to decrease, sorry. So therefore, that would make the entire statement wrong. And also the fact that you're also saying that it's a decrease in price of product A, it obviously will not result in a decrease in the price of product B in so manner. So therefore, we cannot establish that particular relationship. That statement entirely becomes wrong. All right. Anyone else want to try?
One question, asking regarding the question paper. I was not able to attend last week's session. Is it possible that you can kindly share the question paper so that I can also follow along on my side?
All right, all right. Those with the question paper, can you kindly share in the chat or in the WhatsApp group so that she has access as well? I believe if you scroll again on the WhatsApp groups, it has been shared. This is the November 2021. Let me try to scroll down so that we do not leave anyone behind. It's 30 November 2021 paper. If you just scroll in the WhatsApp group, you should be able to get it. Just click on the documents and I believe you should have it.
All right, thanks.
All right. Okay, anyone else would want to try this one? All right. So it seems like no one would want to try this one because it's a bit confusing, but it's not really confusing. The moment that you understand the relationship between products, what happens with substitutes and what happens with complements. And if you're able to establish a relationship between two products, and if you're not able to establish any relationship between two products, it means that you should not be attempt to use those two products in explaining anything. That is product A and product C. So the relationships that we've established is A and B and C. Those are established, but we do not have any relationship between A and C. So therefore, cancel out A and C. So therefore, A and B, we understand that these are substitutes, and we stated that substitutes have a positive relationship. The increase in the price of either of the products results in the increase in the quantity demanded of the other products, because people would be substituting that particular product for a cheaper alternative. So therefore, that means that as the price of product A is increasing, the quantity demanded of product B would be increasing because of the substitutability that occurs as a result of the price increase. And the opposite is true. And with complements B and C, it means that as the price of one product increases, it results in a decrease in quantity demanded of the complementary product. It's not alternative, it's of the complementary product, because it is used in conjunction with that same particular product. For instance, the price of bread and the price and the quantity and the demand of butter. Obviously, if the price of bread increases, the demand of butter cuts inside, and therefore we are having a relationship whereby it is a negative relationship. So from the options that are given here, A states that a decrease in the price of product A will result in an increase in the demand of product B. Can we establish that to be true? A decrease in the price of product A and B are substitute. We are having an increase. Obviously, we are now having a positive and a negative as a result of that, which is not entirely true, because the decrease in the price of product A will not result in people moving to the alternative, which is product B. So therefore, A is not true. B is out because we do not have any relationship between A and C. Then option C is stating that an increase in the price of product B will result in the increase in the quantity in the demand of product C. And we stated that with complements, we have a negative relationship. So therefore, as the other is increasing, we expect the other to be reducing. When the other is reducing, we expect the other to be increasing. So therefore, in this particular instance, it's suggesting a positive relationship, which is not entirely true regarding complements. So therefore, C is out. Then we move on to option D. Option D states that an increase in the price of product B will result in an increase in demand for product A. So therefore, we're saying that when we're having an increase in the price of product B is a substitute or an alternative to product A. The moment the price of that particular product increases, people would choose for the cheaper alternative, which is product A. So therefore, that statement becomes true. So therefore, of those statements, the correct option is option D. D for dog.
Sir.
Yes.
Okay, so when you read it out like that, it makes sense, ne? But now tell me that
Yes.
part where it says they are in an unrelated market. Was that just to confuse us, or why would they just put that? Was it to confuse the person writing the exam? Because the minute they say they are in an unrelated market, I'm thinking whether the price of um
A and B.
because if the prices they don't affect each other. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying?
All right. Yes, I get your point of view. So, like I've stated that you can have products that are substitutes, but that are in unrelated markets in the way in which, if you look at them, they can be substitutes. Like, for instance, I was talking about diesel and gasoline. Diesel and gasoline, to a certain extent, both of them will understand that this is fuel, and it's either you're using a fuel which is gasoline or a fuel which is diesel. But however, you cannot use in a petrol engine diesel, though both of them are fuel. Yes. So both of them, they are substitutes, they are fuel, but they are in unrelated markets because of the nature of the elements that they end up saving.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not really to confuse you, but it's something that is in reality. It's a reality. All right.
Okay, now so sticking to that example. So if diesel increases, petrol would most likely also increase because they share the same kind of the thing that makes them, basically.
You mean the price, what is increasing here is the price or the quantity. You have to specify.
So
if the price,
oh, yeah.
let's say
So
the price
if-
of,
Mhm.
let's say the price of petrol increases,
Yes.
to a certain extent, it affects the way in which those particular products end up being used to a certain extent. For instance, if people are making a decision of either, for instance, if you look like at a company like Eskom, that can make a decision of either burning diesel or burning petrol in terms of turning their turbines.
Mhm.
So therefore, when they look at
Yes.
those two alternatives, they have to go for a cheap alternative. So the moment the price of petrol is above the price of diesel, they go for diesel because diesel is the cheapest between those two particular products. And the moment the price of diesel goes above the price of petrol, the opposite is true.
Sure, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, any questions regarding question 13? So what is important on question 13? The most important thing for you to understand is what happens in the markets of substitutes and what happens in the markets of complements. That is the lesson here. So in the markets of substitutes, you have to understand that there is a positive relationship and you have to be able to explain the positivity of that particular relationship. The price, as the price of one product is increasing, we expect the quantity of the other product, which is product B, to also increase. So we're having both increases in both products, that is for substitutes. And if you're having decreases, we expect a decrease in the direction of both products because especially in the price and quantity demanded of those particular products. Therefore, in terms of complements, we have a negative relationship. The moment the price of one particular product increases, we expect the quantity demanded or the demand of that particular product to reduce as a result of that. So all of these particular products, if you looked at, I've been using the term quantity demanded, which is also incorrect for this particular scenario, because if you're talking about quantity demanded, you're talking about the movement in the price of that same product. So what is shifting here is the demand. So in a scenario where you're required maybe to pick a particular graph that is showing this particular relationship, the one that you'd pick between substitutes, complements, is a shift in the demand curve of the other product. So it's not a movement, it's a shift in the demand curve of the particular product. All right, so without further confusing you, let's just leave it. But what is important is for us to understand the relationship between substitutes and complements. Any further questions as we move on to question 13? All right, so this one is an interesting one. So question 14 is stating that question 14 is based on the table below. Use the information given to answer the question, and output and units and total revenue. And we have marginal revenue, we have average revenue. Then we have what is the marginal fifth unit? What is the marginal revenue of the fifth unit? So your starting point is understanding what is the marginal revenue, what is the total revenue, what is the average revenue, and how these three elements are calculated. That is your starting point. Then you should be able to have a go at it. So what is important here is understanding what total revenue is. So total revenue is the summation of the total, or the sum total of the revenue that an entity is earning, usually derived by price times the quantity that is being sold. So for instance, if you sell one particular product, or the price of one particular product will give you the total revenue, which is equating to the same price. So if you say one, which is the quantity times the price of the one product, you get the total revenue of selling one product. So as the products are increasing, you'll be multiplying the singular price by the increase in the quantity or in the output that is being sold or that is being produced. All right, are we together on what I've just said now? On what I've just mentioned about total revenue and output? Are we together there? I think this one would require me to are we together on total revenue and output?
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. So I just want to pose a question since you are saying we are together. It's only one person who's saying yes, and I assume that is a representation of the total population. It's the same of the total population's response. So therefore, I just want to pose a question then. Since we are having a product here at output 1 and total revenue 10 at output 1, what is the price of that particular product? It's just a question. What is the price of this particular product? What is the price for 1 unit of that particular product?
10 rand.
10 rand, yes. So
Yes,
10 rand is the
It
price.
would
So
be exactly
therefore,
that, yeah.
yeah. So therefore, what you're simply saying is 1 times 10 gives you a total revenue of 10. Is that correct? So therefore, what is the total revenue of output 2 or selling 2 units? What is the total revenue of selling 2 units?
The
I think I'm
total
doing it.
revenue.
Yes.
20.
What is the total revenue of selling 2 units, or output 2? What is the total revenue? We've established that total revenue at output 1 is 10. What is the total revenue at output 2?
7.5.
Sorry?
Then it's 7.5.
How did you get 7.5?
Because we say the total revenue, we multiply it by the output and then we get the average revenue. So I divided 15 by 2 outputs. Average revenue is 15, it's given. And then I divided it by the total outputs and it gives me 7.5.
All right. What you're saying is a truth, but in the wrong direction. It's the truth, but in the wrong direction. The answer that you've given is incorrect, but the relationship between total revenue, average revenue is also valid. That cannot be denied. But however, for now, I want you to ignore average revenue and marginal revenue. Just look at total revenue. For now, just ignore those two. So let me just do this. Let's say those two are not there. We are looking at only these ones. How do you calculate your total revenue given these 2 elements here?
I think it's going to be 20.
20, yes, because you're multiplying a unit price times an output. Is that correct?
Quantity.
Yes, yes. So 10 times 2 gives you 20, 10 times 3 gives you 30, 10 times 4 gives you 40, etc. But however, we are having 42.5 on the other scenario there. But however, we're going to look at that. So suppose that you are not given those average revenue elements. That is how you calculate your total revenue. That is what I was talking about for now. So now let's get into, yes.
Sorry to stop you there.
Yes.
I have a different amount for my total revenue. And get my total revenue, I had to use my average revenue.
Yeah. For now, I'm saying let's ignore average revenue for now. I just want us to understand the relationship between output, price, and total revenue. Then we'll get on to including the average revenue and the marginal revenue.
So are you saying that the total revenue is going to be 20, or you saying for now it's 20, it might change?
Yeah, if we ignore the elements of average revenue for now and the marginal revenue that are given on the other portion of the question. There's a reason why I'm stating this, because sometimes you are not given these average revenue figures here, and you are given the total revenues and the quantities, or the price times the quantities, for you to derive the total revenues, which you then use to derive the average revenue, and which you then use to derive the marginal revenue. So what has been given here, I understand that we are also going to be using average revenue to get the total revenue, etc. But for now, we need to get this lesson at bay first. Then we get onto the calculation of that, including average revenue and marginal revenue. Are we together there? All right. Let's include the others before I start maybe bringing confusion to you. So we're saying that total revenue is a multiplication of the price times the quantity. So price times quantity gives you total revenue in any given scenario. So suppose that you are given the price, the unit price of the particular product. For instance, this particular segment here, 1 times 10 gives you a total revenue of 10 because 10 is the unit price. Then 1 times 2, 10 times 2 gives you a total revenue of 20 as it goes on by. But when we now include the average revenue elements, it becomes a different scenario. Why? Because average revenue is calculated as total revenue divided by the quantity that is being produced. Are we still together?
Say it again, please.
All right. So the total revenue is the average revenue is calculated as the total revenue divided by the quantity that has been produced or the quantity that is being sold. For instance, the average revenue of the first unit is 10 divided by 1, which gives you an average revenue of 10, etc. Then on the second unit, if you are having a total revenue of 20, you're going to be saying 20 divided by 2, then you have an average revenue of 10. Then it goes on and on and on and on and on. So in this scenario whereby you are having the price not changing, that is regarded as a perfect competition. Remember, in a perfect competition, you have a perfectly elastic demand curve. But in this scenario, we are seeing a different twist in the average revenue and in the total revenue, which implies that as we move towards the increases in quantities, we are having a decrease in the prices, which almost denotes a monopolistic competition scenario, whereby as the prices are increasing, the quantity demanded will be reducing, and the same applies with the decreases in the prices. So, for instance, in this particular scenario, you see that the average revenue is 15, which means that this is not a perfect competition scenario, but this is a monopolistic competition scenario, whereby the price is varying as the output is changing as well. Are we together there?
Yes, sir.
All right. So in this scenario, we are saying that the total revenue divided by the quantity would give us the average revenue. And for us to calculate the total revenue in this given scenario, now incorporating the average revenue and all of these elements given, it means that we are supposed now to multiply 15 times 2 for us to get the total revenue of 30. Why? Because it's the inverse. I think I'm doing injustice here by not showing the calculations and maybe narrating them. Let me see if I can just add a window there where I'll be showing maybe the calculations. Okay, let me use this one. All right, pardon the screen. You can zoom in if you're not clearly seeing what is written there. Oh my God, I didn't log in my account here. All right, let me close that one and find, let me use the notepad. Now it's becoming more complicated, but I believe that where's that question? I believe that my explanations should be making sense. Please pardon me, I will not be able to show the calculations in any way possible at this particular moment because I cannot find or rather let me do this.
Unfortunately, can't we use the fill option so that maybe you can try and highlight and maybe we can try and populate the table using that option on the PDF itself.
Okay, I don't have this option on this particular element that I'm using. Let me see. Just give me a minute to find another application that I can use to show my calculations. Okay. This one is taking longer to load. Okay.
I think that suggestion that Tumi was saying could work. That
For
text,
highlighting. Okay.
y- y- yeah,
Let me see if I
like
have that option here.
on the yeah, I think you do have it. It's
Let me check the options. No, I'm not having that particular option. I'm not using my normal desktop, so this particular device, yeah,
okay.
it closes me up a little bit. Please pardon me. All right, now I'm thinking, let me switch on to my desktop. I thought this one was going to work perfectly well. It's giving me challenges. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I think I've managed to find that out. Okay. Let me reshare. So we want to try to make sure that we finish this question paper in today's session.
Did we lose him?
I don't know what's
Yeah,
happening.
I think we lost the host.
Yeah, maybe he'll come back.
Okay.
Itimel, maybe you can lead us in the meantime.
What? You want to fail?
No, I'm sure when he comes back, he will rectify. Because he said total revenue times output, then he changed and say average revenue times what.
So
Okay.
lead us, my sister.
Today I was late.
We believe in you, Salome.
Let's,
Please lead us.
okay, let's do it together. Because he is confused as well. He said to us,
Hi guys.
7.5 is wrong. He
Where
said
do we
20.
get this on the study guide?
Pardon?
You mean there's a question that is on?
What about the study guide?
You mean about the total cost and total
Yes,
revenue and total cost?
yeah, we are on the table. Remember we did number 1 where we got 1 times 10, then it was 10. Then number 2, Osrona said 7.5, and he said no, 10 times 2, 20. But along the way, I heard him say 15 times 2 is 30.
That's when he was putting in the quantity, just that I don't have the question paper with me. Okay, let me go into my phone.
Okay, so that 20.
Put it on your lap. Okay, somebody come. What are you saying?
I was saying that 20 was when you disregarding the average revenue and marginal revenue. He was just trying to make us see that the question could be asked in a different scenario than what it is from this table. And then I think somebody was asking about formulas. The study guide, it's page 96 or 99 if you have the detail one. Yeah.
Page 96,
oh,
yeah.
Okay.
96,
That's the
99.
time when... Okay, 96. Oh yeah, I think you're right, because there's a time where he mentioned there's a moment whereby there's like price change, and there's a moment whereby there's no competition, there's no price change.
Correct.
And
And then he said
here,
ignore what's on the left. He zoomed in to just outputs and total revenue. I think he mentioned something about that in a perfect competition where the prices will be, easy to determine, like that they just multiply the outputs with the total revenue.
And here we don't have perfect competition because we have 42.5 at number 5. So prices are changing here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it should be simple, isn't it? If you look at sorry, I have 2 things on here.
So I had previously populated that table. I don't know if you want me to share my screen, or do I even have the capability to do that?
Do it, bro. I think
I
you
don't know
should be able
if
to.
that will help.
Which question paper is this?
July 20.
Question.
Sorry. It's 30 November
Question 14 of.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. 13 November 2021.
Was it shared on the group, this question paper?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yes.
I see
It's on the group.
January 2020. Oh, this one was the one that James was busy with. Okay. Oh, which one is it? When was it shared?
You're saying you're not able to share that table that you populated. Is it possible that you can actually take a screenshot then send it?
Yeah, good idea. Let me do
Because I
that.
think that might work so that we can just go through it and then maybe you can explain it and then we are able to see on the other side.
Yeah, good idea. I'm doing that now. Okay. I'm trying to paste it. I don't think, let me just say test. Test. Because I have it screenshot here, but when I copy it, I can't seem to paste it, eh? Wish. I'm not so familiar with, what is this, Zoom, man. Now I'm trying to paste that thing here. Yes, the test is going in, but my screenshot, when I try and paste it into the chat, it's not pasting.
Can you share it on WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Then we'll just have to check on
Let's
WhatsApp.
see if I can
group
save it and then try
and discuss it on
and
Zoom.
throw it in there.
Maybe because you're not the host currently, that's why you can't share.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, let me save it and then try and drop it in here.
Who is Nonkululeko or Nombulelo? I didn't notice that name correctly. It's the one who's the host.
It's
Nokulunga.
Nokulunga.
She is the host.
Mm.
Is she here?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so. But he's been gone for long now.
Yeah.
That has been some time.
Hey guys, yes, I think James is also having another class with his normal class. Maybe we might just need to jump in because see, it doesn't help. Like you.
We will wait
another
for
class now.
we'll wait for Jabu. No, what's his name? Wait for Fortunate.
Because he's actually studying he's actually
A
studying a
numbers
new
on.
paper. I attended his last class. It was quite okay. So maybe that could be our short alternative since we'll be struggling a bit because it's almost in about 4 minutes from now.
Yeah.
What time does it start? At 7 or 7:30?
At 7.
Do you have a link?
Do you have the login details?
Can you please share the link for so we can check?
Well, I think if you scroll down to our WhatsApp group, right? He once shared a link with, I don't know if he's changing these links, but if you check on, I'm just scrolling now.
I think they changed the
On Monday, right?
code.
On Monday, let's see that. Yeah, you see on the 12th, I think, yeah. Where he actually said topic economics 1A and then it was time November 12th, 2023. Yeah, and then it started I think at 8 because he was having load shading. So this was the link. So my question is that I'm not sure if it's gonna be the same link today, but we can try. We can use this very same link and try logging into his class. Otherwise, if it doesn't work, we can just text him on WhatsApp to be like, James, please reshare because we had issues with our class. I don't think he'll have an issue because guys, like, we can't afford to miss so much.
Because we only did one question. Yeah, maybe let's request.
Okay,
James
maybe
to
let's
send
first check up on Fortune before we approach James. It's Fortune or Fortunate?
Fortune.
Do we send on that same group or you know that one that says paid extra class or do we send?
Yeah,
I don't
the
have
paid one. The paid one. I think that is the most recent one for the new one. Oh yeah, now we see a screenshot. Thanks, Itu.
Thank you.
Can you take us through it?
Okay. So, like you were saying, so basically with because that 30 was empty, ne? If I recall sharp, the 30 didn't have any amount in there. So what I said okay, 15 multiplied by 2 because in order to get average revenue, you need to say okay total revenue and then you subtract the previous. So let's say for example the 30 let's say you had the 30 ne? You would take the total revenue, subtract the 10, which would you'd have 20 ne? And if you divide it by, no, I'm lying, hang on, yeah, this is why it's a bad idea. Wait, sorry guys.
There's a birthday in Itu's house.
No, it's not
it's
my house.
it's hectic, yo. Whose birthday is it? I'm telling you.
But the moral of the story is they're saying what is the marginal revenue on the fifth unit? And when I look at the fifth unit, my marginal revenue is 2.5. And how I got that, basically, I said my total revenue subtract the total revenue from the previous unit. Then that's how I got my marginal revenue. Oh, I think he's back. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
All right. Apologies. I think I had a network glitch there. I couldn't connect. I just found myself talking alone, and I had covered some grounds, which I believe all of you didn't hear. Anyway, but let me restart again. So we are on question 14.
Are you talking alone?
Yeah, I've been talking maybe for some 2-3 minutes without realizing no one is in the. I was out of the session. Yeah. So okay, let me just retake what I was saying when I was alone. So we're talking about how to calculate total revenue, how to calculate, which I'll just abbreviate TR. Please pardon if you're not seeing clearly. I'm using this side-by-side scenario. So we say total revenue is calculated by price times quantity. So given the price, you multiply the price times the quantity for you to get the total revenue. Then we get on to average revenue. Average revenue is calculated by dividing total revenue, abbreviated TR, divided by the quantity that we have there. Then, okay, let me just sum all of this. Then we have marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is given by calculating the change in total revenue, TR, divided by the change in quantity. So we're going to be illustrating how to calculate each of those. So, of course, the question wants us to get straight to the fifth unit, but for the sake of us to understand, let's just try to calculate all of these missing elements. Then until we get to the fifth unit of the marginal revenue, we should be able to do that. So for the marginal revenue, for us to get to the fifth unit, the easiest thing is for us to get all the total revenue figures and then use those total revenue figures to calculate the marginal revenue of the fifth unit. But we're going to do all of those one by one. So at the first point, which is output number 1, what is our average revenue? Average revenue is calculated by total revenue divided by the quantity. So TR divided by the quantity, average revenue at quantity 1, which means it's 10. And what is the marginal revenue at that particular point? Marginal revenue is calculated by the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity. So the change in total revenue is from 0 to 10, and the change in output is from 0 to 1, which means, again, we have a marginal revenue of 10. Then we move on to the total revenue of the second unit. The second unit, for us to get the total revenue, we have the average revenue of 15. So that means we're supposed to use this formula here to get what the total revenue. So therefore, we have the two elements that we have there. We have the average revenue given as 15 is equals to the total revenue, we do not have it, which is the unknown, divided by the quantity, which is in this particular scenario 2. Therefore, we substitute for us to get to the unknown value, which is total revenue. Therefore, we multiply by 2 both sides. That means that 15 times 2 becomes our total revenue, which is equals to 30. So that means at that particular point there, we have 30. And also the easiest thing to do here is to use Excel, Microsoft Excel, for you to be able to calculate these ones very fast and easily. And I think that should also aid us in terms of the speed of our calculations. So getting onto Excel, we have the formulas already, which you've already highlighted there. Let's just get to Excel. All right. So we have the output, we have the total revenue. I'll just say TR with the average revenue AR, then with the marginal revenue, and then with the quantities from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then there we have 10. We stated that 10 again there, 10 again there. Are we able to see clearly? Or am I alone again?
Yeah. No.
No, you're not alone.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, then move on to the second element. We've been given 15 already. So using that same 15, we can multiply it by the 2 that we have here. So 15 times the 2 that we have here, then we get the total revenue of 30. Then for the marginal revenue, we say that it is the change in total revenue divided by the change in output. The change in total revenue is 30 minus 10, divided by the change in output 2 minus 1, that gives you a marginal revenue of 20. Then on the third unit, we've been given the marginal revenue of 6. The marginal revenue of 6, how do we calculate the, then we have 10 there, then we have 42.5 there, then we have 2.5 there. So at 6 there, how do we calculate the total revenue? And how do we calculate the average revenue? So the change in total revenue divided by the change in output gives us the marginal revenue. In this particular instance is given as 6. So what is the change in the total revenue? So we simply add the marginal revenue to the previous total revenue for us to get the current, since the change in outputs are a single unit. So therefore, the current total revenue in this particular instance is 6. Then the average revenue is the division of total revenue divided by the quantity. Then you get 12. Then now we've been given the average revenue, and average revenue we said is 10 times quantity of 4. Then the marginal revenue is the difference between those two, which is equals to this minus this, since the incremental outputs are a single unit. Then at that particular point, we've been given a total revenue of 42.5. Which means that the average revenue is total revenue divided by 5, 8.5. Marginal revenue is equals to 42.5 minus 40. Then we get onto the total revenue, given in marginal revenue of 2.5. It means that we are going to add to the previous total revenue to get the current total revenue, which is 45. Then the average is the division of that by 6. Then we get 7.5. So this is the complete table in its entirety. So now, what is the marginal revenue of the 5th unit? So in the 5th unit, we're having a marginal revenue of what? 2.5, which is A here. Are we together?
Yes.
All right. Any questions on that one as we move on to the next one? No questions. Then we move on to the next one. The next one is talking about the units of labor. So we have units of labor. We have the total product. We have the average product. Then we have the marginal product. I believe with calculations, this is where you are supposed to be getting your full marks, because this is just technical. All right. Then we've been given the units from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then the total products starting at 45, 66, and 100. Then we have average product of 21 and marginal product of 14 and 20. Oh my God.
Huh?
It's sad.
I go.
It's sad.
Not our day.
Not at all. I wonder if it's too late to jump into the other one.
My thoughts exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe let's hang 10 and then it'll hopefully give us a little bit extra time.
Sorry, guys, were the other recordings added because I don't see it on the group?
Two.
Ish.
I think it was. I will just have to make sure. I think it was added.
Hello.
Janelle, I think you were asking about the recording. I also don't see it, eh?
I actually saw one here, a YouTube link, but it shows Economics 1A. So I'm just wondering, what about the others?
That one, it's actually the one that we did in James' class, I think last week, because the time, remember he said the class will be at 4 p.m., but then I was not able to join the class because of some technicalities. So when I joined James' class, that is the paper that we actually did, and he shared it on YouTube. But then I don't see any classes from our original class for microeconomics classes. There's nothing.
I also don't see, because there's a microeconomics group, and I also don't see any links posted to say that there's a recording of some sort.
I think we need to take this up with James. We're running out of time because we're already starting
Fortune is
tonight.
back.
Fortune is back, guys.
Yeah, apologies again. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. Without wasting much time, I think let's try to complete this one. All right, so this one we've been given, it's now in terms of productivity. The one that we're dealing with was in terms of revenue, and this one is in terms of productivity. So with the other ones, again, that also deals with costs. I believe we are not going to be looking at them in this. I think we're going to be looking at it down there. All right, so the same idea still remains that when you're calculating total, anything that is in total, the same formulas that we stated earlier on, you have to multiply the single unit times what has been produced. If it is productivity, if it is revenue, you multiply by the price. If it is cost, you multiply by the unit cost. So the average obviously will be the division of the total by the quantities that has been stated in the marginal, would be indicative of the changes in the total divided by the changes in the variable unit or the quantities. So the same scenario is there, but what is just changed is that this is products. It's not revenue as the previous one. So this one, I would want to give you the floor, but I think it would take us much time since we've already lost much time already. And let me try to cover these ones. Then if you have any questions, I would open for that. So as we stated, that the marginal product of the first unit would be equal to the total product, as we saw, would be equal to the average product because the quantity is 1, and therefore we'll be having 20 along those particular elements there. Then on the average product, we stated that it is the division of the total divided by the quantity. Then you get the average there. Then the marginal at that particular point would be the change in the total there, since the incremental elements are 1. But sometimes you have to be very careful here. You have to also factor in the divided by 1, which you're going to be doing here, because sometimes it will be changing from 1 to 5, 10, 7. So you have to be very, very careful there. Then 45 minus 20 divided by 1, which is 25. Then on the average, it what we calculated there remains the same, 22. Then on the marginal, the change in the total product, 66 minus 45 divided by 1, 3 minus 2 is 1, 21. Then the total product, given the average product of, I think it's 84 there. So 21 times 4 is 84. Not 4, 21 times 4, that's 84. And then the marginal, 84 minus 66. Then the average, obviously 100 divided by 5. The marginal, 84, 100 minus 84. Then you get your 16. Then total product, given a marginal product of 14, it's that plus 14. 114, then the average is the division of that divided by 6. Anyone who's struggling to understand these calculations? Anyone who's having a challenge? Then what is the average product of 6 units of labor? 6 units of labor, average product is 19, option D. All right, then we move on to the next one. 16, the table below represents the short-run total cost schedule of beer manufacturer. Use the information to try and answer below, then with labor, output. Then when an output increases from 30 to 50 bottles, what is the marginal cost of producing one of these 50 bottles? Like I've stated when I was talking about marginal product. You have to divide by the change in the unit that is being produced at that particular point. So in this particular instance, we have an output and with the total product element. So now we are using the output as our change in the elements there. So therefore, we've been told that when it changes from 50 to 80, from 30 to 80, what is the marginal cost of producing 50 bottles of beer? Then there we have 700. We have a change from when output increases from 30 to 80. What is the marginal cost of producing one of these 50 bottles of beer? Then there we have a change in total cost from 700 to 1,000. So we're supposed to aggregate the cost per unit of that particular element there, so that we will be able to understand what is the additional cost when we are using 50 bottles of beer. So at that particular point there, the most important thing for us to get is the marginal element in between these elements there. The 50 bottles is the 30 minus 80 there. So therefore, we're going to say 1,000 minus 700 divided by 80 minus 30, which is 50. So therefore, 1,000 minus 800, minus 700, sorry. Then we divide that by, okay. So this is our change in what? Okay, I don't want to show it with, yeah, I want to show it like that. Then this is our change in total cost in TC. And what is our change in output? Change in output is given by that 50 that is right there. All right, someone is breaking. I don't know whether it's my network or is there a network. Can you hear me clearly?
No, I think it's on E2's side. I also heard the breaking up.
All right, okay, good. So that means that the change in total cost becomes 300, the change in output becomes 50, and therefore the marginal product becomes the division of that. So MR is equals to 300 divided by 50, which gives you a marginal revenue. Why did I say MR? It's MC, marginal cost, which gives you a marginal cost of 6. Are we together there? Marginal cost of 6, which is option B, yes. Which is option B. Any questions as we move on to the next one? All right, so question 17 states that a firm produces a product which it sells in a perfectly competitive market. The price of the product is 120 Rand per unit, and the farmer's cost structure is given from the table below. Use the table below to answer the questions. Then we have the table. So we are going to try to recreate that table using a new set of units produced, then we have fixed costs, then we have variable costs, then we have total costs, then we have average variable costs, then we have marginal costs. Then the units are running from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then, oh my God, what did I do there? What on earth did I do? Oh my God, seems like I pressed something now. I've do have to restart entering my button there. So units, fixed cost.
I think they're on sheet 1. Just go back to sheet 1.
It's
At
sheet
the
1.
bottom there. Yes. They
No, it's not here.
are they not there?
No, they are not here.
Oh, okay.
They are not there. I don't know what I did there. All right, but anyway, let's just quickly recover from that. VC, TC, average variable costs, marginal cost, then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it starts from 100 on number 2, then 48 on 0 them, then 32 on number 1, then 216 at this juncture here, then 104. If you note any mistake, please notify me. I'm just rushing a bit here. Then we're 564. Right, so these are the figures that you're going to be dealing with. Okay. Oh, they were up there. No longer need them. Let's just leave them like that. All right, so let me just hide these ones. They're appearing now once I'm done with these ones. Okay. Okay, so for us to calculate the fixed costs, now we need to understand the relationship between what a fixed cost is, what a variable cost is, what a total cost is, and what our variable cost is, and as well as the marginal costs. So fixed costs are those costs that do not change regardless of the output that has been produced. So at 0 output, we are going to be incurring fixed costs because they are not sensitive to changes in output. They are costs that are not related to any increases in output. Usually we give examples like your rentals, etc., rentals of the premises that you are renting, which you are supposed to be paying, whether they're going to be producing something or not. You're going to be paying these rentals, and the other costs as well that are also in line with these particular elements here. And that brings about elements whereby we are dealing with these costs that do not change regardless. So usually at this particular level of output, you'd see these fixed costs as the total costs when you're having 0 output, indicating that that's the only cost that you're incurring, because this variable cost would be 0 because there's no output that has been produced. And the average variable cost would also be in tandem with, you will not be able to calculate them because you're actually having 0, they are undefined. Therefore, these 48 would go throughout the production phase because they are fixed, they do not change. So therefore, we'll be having 48 throughout. Then in terms of the variable elements, you'd have changes the moment you're having changes in your productivity. So when you're having changes in your productivity, you're going to be having changes in variable costs. And we can see you've been given marginal cost of 32. A marginal cost of 32, how has it been calculated? It was calculated by the change in total cost divided by the change in units, which we have been showing you earlier on, which means that for us to calculate this total cost, we simply add the marginal unit, since we are not having any more than one change on the output here, we simply add this marginal cost there. But if we're going to be having a change, we're going to be multiplying a little bit there before we can get to that addition. All right, then the variable cost, I see something on the chart. Okay, someone is saying, am I clear? Am I clear on your side? Am I audible? Someone is complaining on sound there.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. All right, so Itumeleng, I think it's now on your side. It was on my side earlier on, now it's on your side. Maybe your network is not all right, so moving on. Variable costs. Okay, so let's finish this one. So now with the total variable costs, The variable cost can also be calculated as the difference between the fixed cost and the total cost, because for us to get the total costs are calculated as fixed cost plus variable cost. So it's FC plus variable cost. So VC plus FC, that's your total cost. So the vice versa is true. If you'd want to derive the variable cost, you can also derive them by finding the difference between the total cost and the fixed cost, and therefore you can get the variable cost. So for this particular element, is the difference between these two, which gives you 32. And the average is the division of the average variable cost. Okay, now I am the average variable cost, AVC. AVC is equal to the total cost divided by the units. There we have units, so we have to type units. Right, so so those two at 0 there, they are undefined, so you will not be having a 0 there, you will not be having anything, it will be nothing. Then at this particular point here, it means that the total cost is 80 divided by 1. That gives you an average cost of 8. Then the total cost at this particular juncture, it's an addition of the fixed cost and the variable cost, which is this formula there, which gives you 148. Then the average variable cost, it's simply a division of that. So we just bring that one down. We can bring this one down so that when we have those additions, it will automatically calculate. Then here at this particular point on the variable costs, is this subtraction between those two, 218 minus 48, 216 minus 48. You get 168. Then you have a marginal cost of 104. You add it to 216 to get the total cost at that particular point, which is 320. You see the average variable cost here is just changed because it's 320 divided by 4, which gives you 80. Then the variable elements there, also they do not change, 272, indicative of 320 minus 48. Then this one as well, the summations, they do not change here. I said negative. I don't know how I said negative 48. There should be nothing here. Okay, okay. It's coming from the addition of that. All right.
It's the formula.
It's the formula, yeah. Then there we have 320. Then we have 48 fixed plus now this formula is now becoming my enemy. So what we have here is 88, which is average variable cost. So we understand that the average is a division of the total by the 5th unit. So therefore, we multiply 88 by the 5th unit for us to get it's 88 by the 5th unit by 5. Then you get 440. Then there, the variable cost has corrected itself to 392, which is the difference between this and that. Then you get the variable. Then this one is simply an addition of that plus that. You get that. Then the average. Okay, it needs a formula here. It's a division of all those elements there. Okay. 102. Is that correct? Should be correct.
Yes.
All right. Then we come to the marginal elements. The marginal elements is simply the subtraction of those total elements until we get.
Unfortunately, I think there's a mistake in cell 17, G17. That 80 should be 88.
Oh, it should be 88. Okay.
It's something that we were given, yes.
Okay. So let me correct that. So it's 88. All right, so does it affect the calculations down there? So 88, is it affecting anything here?
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, the
yes,
MC.
88 should be the one, the top, the row 4. We also given the value of 104.
Oh, we've been given the value of 104 for the marginal cost. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just trying to check because on my table, yeah,
Okay.
average cost, it's 88. The one on top is 62, then it should be 104.
Okay. 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 All right. Then let me correct my tables here. It's not calculating automatically.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Correct.
formula didn't pull from that
All right.
32. They are
Yeah.
going down there. Yeah.
All right. So from here, the 32, we got it by 32 minus 0. What's happening now? Whatever it is that it is doing, let me try to ignore it and type in manually. All right, 32, then 100 minus that. 100. Okay, I'm going on the wrong cell. If you note any mistake, please quickly highlight or just highlight when you notice it. Okay. The 32 again, I was using the variable cost, which is not correct. I'm supposed to be using the total cost. This is 68. So the 32 here is supposed to be derived from 80 minus 48. I think it's, why is it saying incorrect? But it should be 32, is it? 32.
Yeah,
80
I
minus
also have
48.
32 on
Yeah,
my side.
it's 32. Then there, let me just ignore those. Minus 148. 68. We have a 68 on consecutive times. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it is.
Okay. What's happening here? 320 minus 216. Why am I getting an error on my calculations? 320 minus 216. 104. Then we have 440 minus 216 minus 320, sorry. 120. Then 612. 612 minus 440. 172. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're asking us what is the question there? How many units must the firm produce in order to maximize profits? All right. So whether we needed to calculate this or not, it's going to be adding to our body of knowledge anyway of calculating these costs. But let's now answer the question. How many units must the firm produce in order to maximize profits? There's the question. I think we talked about this one when we were talking about monopolistic competition, perfect competition in the previous session. Remember the last session question that we did that gave us a lot of issues where we unraveled some of these issues in relation to profit maximization. What is the profit maximizing units and how did we get there is also important. Let me see the chart. Anyone would want to try?
So, yeah, Fortune.
Yes.
So how I would approach this or how I approached it,
Yeah.
I said, okay, the price, the total price of the product is 120 per unit, So I just put my 100 on, you see on I put
Yes.
120 on all of them going down. If you could do that for me, please.
All right. So you had a price column, is it?
No, after MC.
Oh, after MC, you had a price. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes, I had a
That's good.
price. Then the price is 120.
Let me correct that. Price, then with price. So price is 120 throughout.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I said, okay, I took the 120. Oh, so I said, okay, how do I get profit? So profit is total revenue minus total cost. Ne? So my total revenue is, what is it? Total revenue would be the 120, and then my cost would be the that one that says TC. So if I minus the two, then I should get my profit, and that would tell me where the profit maximization is.
Okay. All right. All right. So I think that's one way. If you are going to multiply the total revenue, getting the total revenue figures there times that and that and that, that's another way, which is correct, because that's where you be able to prove whether there is maximization. But without even doing those calculations, you just simply compare the price. The price, remember, in perfect competition does not change throughout, like what I was saying earlier on, which is equal to the marginal revenue, which is equals to the average revenue as well. So you'd find that in perfect competition, price is equals to marginal revenue is equals to marginal revenue is equals to the price. So therefore, we understand that in perfect competition, the profit maximizing condition, perfect competition, monopolistic competition, profit maximizing condition is where output that is derived where the marginal revenue equates to the marginal costs. So anywhere where we are having the marginal costs equating to the marginal revenue, that is the profit maximizing condition. Are we together there?
Say that again. I think.
All right. So the profit maximizing condition, you can type profit maximizing condition on your, maybe on your module or on the textbook, you get straight to it. It is where the marginal revenue equates to the marginal costs. So marginal cost is equating to marginal revenue. That is where we are having profit maximization. So you simply compare what is the marginal cost, what is the marginal revenue. If the marginal revenue, the price is 120, where am I getting the 120 on the marginal cost? That particular unit is the profit maximizing unit.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so at this particular juncture, it is the fifth unit. Are we together? Or you can do it the longer way, where you wanted to calculate the total revenue. So for you to get the total revenue, it would be the price times the quantity. For the sake of those that might want to do that, times the quantity, so the total revenue there, you get those figures there. Then the total costs, we have the total cost already here. So that means your profit. Your profit is the difference between the total revenue minus the total cost. So you see at 0 unit, the profit is negative 48. Why? Because you're having fixed costs. All right. So you can see there that we are maximizing our revenue at 160, 50th unit, which is also the same. But however, you'd see that if you use this element here, you have confusion here.
Yes, and that's what I picked up.
Yes, you have confusion there. So you would not be able to choose whether it's should have produced 4 or should have produced 5. And that's where the issue now comes in. So you're supposed to be theoretically astute.
But fortune, but
Yes.
in the real world, which
Mhm.
one would you put? You would obviously pick 4, right? In the real world, because
Okay. That would be that would depend. Okay,
Mhm.
can you explain why you pick 4?
because my total costs are less, right? At
Okay.
that point,
Mhm.
and then I mean, total cost means I've spent less money,
Yes.
and then I'm making the same profit,
Mhm.
as a business. So if it was in the real world, I would say the theory of saying profit maximization point is MR equals to MC
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that it's always true. It's just um, what is, if you look at the profit itself,
Mhm.
I would pick um, based on where I make the most profit with the least costs.
Okay. Okay.
Because if
So you'd
yeah,
rather produce.
effectively that's yeah.
Okay.
Hmm?
But then that would mean that in the business world, you would quickly be booted out very fast. Do you know why?
What? Tell me why.
Because
Yeah.
of market share. You're losing market share if you're going to be producing 4 instead of 5.
Yeah.
The more you
Oh,
produce, the
I'm
more
losing
market share like
market
you're going to
share.
be. Yeah, yeah. And also you'd see that
Okay.
on the total revenue there, you are getting 600 as the total revenue and 480
Yes.
is the total revenue in the previous. So that means that you'd rather have the additional revenue and find
Ah.
ways maybe of
Okay. No,
yeah,
you've
minimizing
justified
your
it.
costs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the
You've
more the better.
justified it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. Anyone with a question,
Yeah.
let's move on to question 19. I'm on load shedding, losing signal, share recording on WhatsApp. Okay, you are going to get the recording later on. The number 18 states that Michaela spends 10 Rand in the morning on bus fare from her house to Michelle's house, to Michelle Park, to Mankosa. In the afternoon, the same trip costs 950. The bus fare is more expensive during rush hour, less expensive in the afternoon, and implies that for the bus ride in the morning implies that the demand for the bus ride in the morning is, while during the afternoon, the demand for the bus is. So we have either elastic, inelastic, perfectly elastic, etc. So 10 Rand in the morning, and it reduces in the afternoon to 950. Okay, so on recordings, please trouble your admins. They're the ones that are not sending the recordings in the WhatsApp groups. Make sure you give, if you require anything that is not sent or that you've requested and it is not sent, constantly trouble them until they send the ones, the Malins, etc., and Gems, until they send those recordings. I see people are saying that they haven't received the recordings. They might quickly forget because of a lot of things that might occupy them. So please do so. Then implies that the demand for bus fare in the morning is, while during the afternoon, the demand for bus fare is. So with elasticity, when it is less elastic, you make more revenue by increasing your price. And when it is elastic, you make more revenue by reducing the price, because when it is inelastic, it is not price sensitive. It means that people would still demand whether the price goes up or the price goes down. The demand would still be there, relatively there. So therefore, in actual fact, if the more that you increase the price, the more that you are going to be selling in terms of revenue, because the demand will remain there. But when the demand is inelastic, when the demand is elastic, it is price sensitive. And therefore, when the demand is price sensitive, that means that we are going to be having changes in demand as prices are going to be increasing. Therefore, reducing the price would be the most likely scenario. So this one, it means that in the morning, the demand is inelastic. And in the afternoon, it is likely to be elastic. That is my conclusion, but I don't see anywhere where they are saying inelastic and elastic. Let me look at the options there. Do we have an option which stays inelastic and elastic there?
It would be A that is the closest because it says less inelastic, more inelastic. So there's no one that says inelastic straight and elastic only.
Okay, now with economics, I'm very sensitive by those
Okay.
words. If they say less inelastic, it gives me a question. They were just supposed to say more inelastic would make sense. If they say less inelastic, they are more of like saying it's actually elastic, and that makes me put a question mark on it. It's a question mark. I'm not saying that is not correct, but I'm just putting a question mark on it because of that less than the inelastic again. That doesn't make sense. If you want to say it's inelastic, just say it's inelastic. You don't have to say less than you say inelastic. It's like putting a negative on a positive. But I'll just put a question mark on it. Then we have B, elastic, inelastic. No, it can't be elastic because when elastic, you can't increase the price. Then unit elastic, then inelastic. This, I'll put a question mark on it. Then D, perfectly elastic, then perfectly inelastic. Of course, if they start with elastic, that's not true because that's where the price increases is. So if they're saying perfectly elastic, it means that the prices can vary. Okay, I'll put a question mark again on D. The price also varies regardless of the price that is prevailing there. But again, that would not give us a leeway. Yeah, D is a question mark for me. D is a question mark for. Let me hear your thoughts. What are you thinking about question 19? Whilst I chew the card on this one. What is your thoughts on question 18?
For me, I would go with A, and but obviously that less and more thing puts a question on it. But yeah, before you brought it up, I was thinking that okay, look, in the morning, like they're saying, this bus yes, there's someone talking. Oh, okay.
Yeah, go on, continue.
So in the morning, I would say less elastic. So, and when I say less elastic, it is elastic, but it's not as elastic as another product, for example. You understand? So it is less elastic.
Okay.
It is, less inelastic. So it's still inelastic. But the reason I'm saying less is because it's not always inelastic. That's how I interpret it.
Okay.
And then the other one, I would then say more elastic, ne? And when I'm saying it's more elastic, because that one at that time, people have other things or other means, then it's more it's more elastic than the other time slots.
Okay. All right. Anyone with a different view or the same view? You want to support the same view? All right, I've already crossed out option D because option D doesn't make sense. Perfectly elastic doesn't make sense because if it is perfectly elastic, there's no incentive for you to charge one price and change it to the other price. Perfectly inelastic would rather choose to charge $10 it's perfectly inelastic than $9. So therefore that one is not entirely making sense. Then the confusion is on A. Then we have C, unit elastic. Then we have elastic and inelastic. Elastic and inelastic is not correct. Option B is not correct. It's out of the picture. It's the opposite of what is being explained there. Then we have unit elastic. Okay, this one is out of the picture again because you say
of
unit
inelastic.
elastic. Yeah. So, well, okay. So I think option A is uncontested there. I don't know where my confusion was coming from initially. It's now clear. Let's daylight. All right, are we together then? Are we together?
Yes, sir. Yes, we are.
All right. Then question 19. Question 19 states that given the electricity shortages observed in KZN, the South African government wants to reduce electricity consumption by 5%. The price elasticity of electricity is 0.4. Therefore, the government should. So with price elasticity, you need to be able to also define the coefficients that you get on price elasticity. So we have 1, we have greater than 1, we have less than 1. All right, so when it is 1, that is where it is said to be unit elastic. Whether you increase the price or you reduce the price, you are going to be getting the same revenue because the changes in the demand would be proportionate to the changes, percentage changes in the price. So there you will not have any changes in the revenue. Whether you increase the price or you reduce the price, you are in equilibrium region. Then if it is greater than 1, it is regarded as elastic. So if it is greater than 1, it is elastic. Then if it is less than 1, it is inelastic. Okay, so with elastic demand, if you increase the price, so their behavior with price increases, so P increases, and price decreases is also something that we should analyze. So if price increase and price decrease. So with unit elastic, it's all the same. Total revenue does not change. So whether price increases, price decreases, the total revenue remains the same. So at this particular point here, you would not really have anything that you can really pinpoint in relation to that. Then now with price increases on elastic, when it is elastic, it means that it is price sensitive. So therefore, when you increase the price, you're likely going to be having demand reducing. Demand will what? Demand will reduce for the particular product, and total revenue will reduce. So both total revenue and demand, quantity demanded reduces. So that means you're going to be selling less. Let me just enlarge that border there. So here you're going to be having a reduction. And there on revenue and demand, you are going to be having, okay, now I'm copying the same thing here. On revenue and demand, you're going to be having it increasing if you reduce the price. Then the opposite is true when it is inelastic. Inelastic, you're supposed to be increasing the price. You're going to be having revenue and demand increasing. Demand will not necessarily increase, it will stay the same, but revenue will increase because of the price. Then when it is inelastic and you reduce the price, you have less revenue because the quantity demanded would not necessarily change. All right, so if it is 0.4, that means it is what? It is inelastic, it is in this region. So our decision guide is within that particular region. Therefore, the government should What should government do?
Fortune?
Yes.
So I approached it in a different way. Ne?
Uh-huh.
So I looked at the price elasticity of demand formula, ne?
Uh-huh.
Which is percentage change in
Mm-hmm.
quantity demand
Mm-hmm.
over percentage change in price.
Uh-huh.
Ne?
Mm-hmm.
So percentage change in quantity demanded. When
Mm-hmm.
I read that 19, ne,
Mm-hmm.
it says um, uh, the South African government wants to reduce electricity consumption by 5%. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, that is the percentage change in quantity demanded. Ne? So
Yes.
then I said 5. Okay, so I said I put 5 there. Then I said
Mm-hmm.
over
Mm-hmm.
percentage change in price. Ne?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I read further, they say the price elasticity of electricity is 0.4. Therefore, government should. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the price elasticity of electricity is 0.4. So I took that as the percentage change in price.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Then when I did them, when I put them over
Then
each
you
other,
get it.
I
Mm-hmm.
then got 12.5%. And then I assume that's
Was it
that's
an
the
increase
right
or was it
answer.
a decrease?
It was 12.5% straight.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. So okay.
With based on the
That was
figures.
very smart. That was very smart. But you also need to be able to know, let's say option C was going to be saying, let's say option D was going to be saying increase the price of electricity, decrease the price of electricity by 12.5. Which one were you going to be choosing?
So if both scenarios, or rather if both of answers had 12.5 and 12.5,
Yeah,
but the
the other
other
one
one
is
was
going
saying
to be,
increase and one
that's
was
what's
saying
going to be
decrease.
decrease. So yeah,
Let-
that's where your
okay,
yeah.
my challenge will be okay. Let me
Yeah.
think about it a little bit.
And usually this one, I don't know why they made it so easy as this one. Usually that's what they actually do. They give you two closer one in the other one, they say decrease, and the other one they say increase, so that you can really make a decision there. All right. But I'm sure this one is straightforward because that's the only 12.5 that you'll be having. So if you're not sure of whether the price should be increased or should be decreased, that would help you. So the calculations, again, getting on the calculation side, the calculation side is as important as the interpretation side, because here you understand that you're in the inelastic region and you want to maximize revenue, and you understand that revenue is maximized by increasing the price. So this is the region that you are in. And therefore, that means that in that same region, you're going to be having increases in the price of electricity, but by how much? Is it going to be by 10% or by 12.5%? So for you to do that, that is where you apply the PED formula, which states that the percentage change in the quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in the price. Then you get your changes. So therefore, the PED have already been given that it is 0.4. So that means that and the percentage change in the quantity is negative 5%. They want to have a reduction. Okay, so in PED, the negatives and the positives do not matter. What matters is the absolute value. So 5%, then the percentage change in the price is what we do not know, which is our X part. We already have the PED to be 0.4. So we simply multiply X by 0.4. So that means we are going to be having 0.4x, then we divide 5% by 0.4 to get 12.5%. Is that what you get when you divide 5 by 0.4?
Yes, if you say 5 divided by 0.4, you get 12.5.
Get 12.5. Yes, so this one becomes the correct option. All right.
Fortune, that part where you say the increase, can you just re-explain that part where you say it's gonna how you pick up that it's an increase again?
All right.
I just
So
want to make sure I understand.
at this particular juncture, we've been told that in the inelastic region, there are electricity shortages, and usually in the inelastic region, for you to maximize revenue, you have to increase the price. And also the increase in price would result in a lesser reduction in quantity demanded than the change in the price itself. So therefore, you are going to be obviously increasing the price in order for you to maximize the revenue in the inelastic region.
Okay.
Then question 20, the table below illustrates the market for kidney beans. Market for kidney beans. Wow, these are new beans. I've never heard of kidney beans. I've never eaten them. I wish to eat them. Refers to table 1 above. Suppose that in a normal year's demand is represented by case 2 and supply is represented by case B. If there's a drought in kidney beans growing region, then supply will and demand will. Anyone knows what kidney beans are? I'm just interested in knowing what these are. Okay. All right, the market, okay, then if the quantity
I think it's normal beans, eh? Normal brown beans.
Or those brown, they call them,
yeah,
the ones called sugar beans.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing. They're like the one that you normally get mixed with the something like that, but they're just a bit bigger.
Okay. I think I have an idea of what you're saying. All right. So price per dollars, price dollars per pound. Pound is what? The weight. Quantity supplied in millions of pounds. So pounds is what? The weight. Then refer to table 1. Suppose that normal year's demand is represented by case 2 and supply is represented by case B. If there's a drought in kidney beans growing, then supply will. So I'm trying to interpret the table. Millions of pounds. When they say pounds, now I'm thinking of sterling pounds. Okay, so pounds, I think they're talking about, these are kgs. We call them kgs, is it? Yeah. So these are, so I'll call them kgs. Now when they say pounds, it's confusing. All right. What are we looking for here? If there's a drought in the kidney beans region, then supply will and demand will. So obviously, without looking at the table, we understand that if there's a drought affects what is affected by drought, supply or demand? What mainly is affected by drought?
Supply.
It would be supply.
Yes. So whenever we're having a drought, supply reduces, and usually demand does not really reduce, but sort of like increases or stays the same. But remains in the same region. So now if there's a drought, without reading that table, I know that supply will case 1. Okay, I think let's try to understand these cases. This is quantity demanded. This is the price. This is supply. Then we have cases on supply, then cases on demand. All right. Then let's analyze the supply. Case A, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this is the quantity supplied in relation to the price. Price, I think price 0 or 1, I don't know. Then price 2, this is the quantity supplied in different cases, different scenarios. Then Price 4, different supplies. Price 5, different supplies. Same applies with the demand. So which case, if there's a drought, kidney beans would then, obviously, where we are having the lesser supply. Is that correct? So we're having the lesser supply. That is where we are having cases. I think it's case A. Then the demand, normal demand is what? Normal demand is case 2. And normal supply is case B. So case 2 is normal demand. So normal demand will not change. But what will change is supply. So supply becomes case A and normal demand stays at case 2. Are we together there? It was quite...
No. Fortune?
Yes.
So won't the demand, so the demand will stay the same or will it increase? It will stay the same.
The demand will stay the same. Remember, drought is only a shortage in supply. It's not a shortage in demand, it's a shortage in supply. So it affects the supply, but it does not affect the demand side. Demand sort of like exponentially increase because of what is available, yeah. But it is actually the same demand.
It's the same demand, ne? Just
Yeah.
because there's no eggs doesn't mean us that we increased, like we all of a sudden increased in wanting more eggs. It's just a matter of there's not
Shortages,
enough.
People are now fighting for the fewer
the limited
resources
supply.
available, yeah.
So then it becomes D, which is okay. Hey.
Yeah. Okay. Are we together then? Are we agreeing? All right, let's move on to question 21. I hate this type of questions where they give you a paragraph to read. And at the end of the day, they would want you to look. I usually come to the end of the paragraph and read it to get what they are trying to calculate: economic profit and accounting profit. So economic profit is calculated by adding opportunity costs on the costs. So we have two profits, we have economic profit and accounting profit. So it's actually economic profit is accounting profit less opportunity costs. Then accounting profit is the normal profit that you are used to calculating revenue minus costs. So revenue minus cost is your normal accounting profit. Normal costs. So now with economic profit, it's revenue less normal costs, less opportunity costs. So it's accounting profit less accounting profit less opportunity costs. All right, so we need to identify the elements there. Professor Moodley, an economics lecturer, we earned 400,000 per annum. Over time, she accumulated savings of approximately 2 million and yielded an average return of 100,000. She decided to retire from her university to go to the construction sector for an annual return of 100,000. She decided, did I read that correctly? No, for an annual to the construction sector. She she used the 2 million savings to get started, and the first step was to refurbish a property, 5 granny flats. She had to pay contractor 700,000 to build the flats and 800,000 to buy the materials. At the end of the year, she sold the flats for 600,000. All right, so what is her revenue? The revenue is 600,000 times how many?
Times 4.
Times 4. That would be 24. 2.4 million, is it?
Yeah.
So this is the revenue. 600,000 times 4. So this is the revenue. So let's get to the costs. So if the accounting costs, the normal costs, what were your normal costs?
That's 700,000 of the, what is it, building?
The buildings, and 800,000 to buy materials.
Yeah.
So this is a normal cost. So here accounting profit becomes, does he have any additional costs?
Not on the accounting.
All right. So here accounting profit is that 900,000. Do we have anything distinct on 900,000? Unfortunately, yes. I would not waste my time calculating the rest, and I will move on to the next. But for the sake of learning and verification, let's calculate the economic profit. So let's remove the opportunity cost. So the opportunity cost is the value of the foregone alternative. Opportunity cost or value foregone. So she had 2 million that she had invested, earning 100,000 return. So that means that what is the opportunity cost here? Okay, so her opportunity cost is the 400,000 per annum that she was going to earn as a professor in economics, plus the 100,000 return, which if she was going to be investing 2 million, therefore she's not going to be getting both of these, which is 500,000. Then your economics profit becomes that minus that, which is 400,000. Are we together here?
Yeah.
Or are we agreeing on the inclusion of both the annual return and all
Yeah,
right,
to me also that there's opportunity cost. Those are the opportunity costs.
Yeah, those are the opportunity costs. All right, so are we together there? We move on to question 22. Under perfect competition, the supply curve of the firm is the rising part of the marginal cost curve. So the rising part of the marginal cost curve is the supply curve of a perfectly competitive firm. So usually, let me try to draw it. Which one did I normally use to draw here? Draw, okay. So we have our graph, which looks like this. Then we have the marginal cost curve, which looks something like this. So the rising part of the marginal cost curve, which is usually above the minimum point or above the average revenue, is what is regarded as the supply curve of the perfectly competitive firm. So the rising part of it, above the average variable cost, is the supply curve. The reason why it is above the average variable costs is because firms only operate as long as they're able to cover their average cost curves. Remember, when you are trying to see the shutdown position of a firm and your various prices that are moving from left to right. I forgot the page on the textbook. I would love to be showing that. I think take me time, but since, let me just try to illustrate it. If anyone has managed to get to the page quickly, we can quickly share. All right, fortunately, that's the last pages that we had opened. This particular graph here. You see this particular graph here?
Okay.
All right, anyway, the statement here is highlighting the very same thing that we are looking for. This highlighted statement there. So this particular graph here is the one that perfectly illustrates what we are looking for. The supply curve starts at a point below all of the cost curves, then it rises and it protrudes along those cost curves. So remember that the shutdown condition of a firm is when it is no longer able to cover its average variable cost. So remember the average variable costs, the average cost or the total costs is the summation of the variable element and the fixed element. So sometimes a firm will not be able to cover its full costs, but as long as it is able to cover its operational costs, which are the variable costs, it should remain in operation. So the supply curve of a firm starts at point B here, which is the marginal cost above the average variable cost curve. Are we together then?
So this one I don't get it.
Okay.
I even wrote on my thing, ask tutor. I don't understand that question and how I.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see the statement written there. The rising portion of the firm's marginal cost curve above the minimum of the average variable cost curve at point B is the firm's supply curve. That statement there. So what is happening there is, for a firm to operate, we understand it faces two types of costs, which then amalgamate into total costs. It faces variable costs, then it faces fixed costs. So the variable cost, if we divide it by the quantity, becomes the average costs, average variable costs, average fixed cost, average total cost. So when you're comparing the unit price with the average cost, you'll be able to see the profit per unit of each particular product. So the average variable cost indicates the cost of producing one single unit of a product. So if a firm is able to produce one single unit of a product, even if it is not able to cover its full amount of the costs, it should remain in competition or in operation. Why? Because it is able to cover its operational costs. It is able to pay off its labor. It is able to pay off its materials. It is able to pay off any incidental operational costs that are required in the productive process. So therefore, even if it is not able to pay off its rent at that particular point, it should remain in competition or in operation because it is still able to produce. So this is the point here, starting from point B, point C, D, and E going upwards.
Okay, so point B, C, D. Where's the let's see, marginal cost? Where's the total? Where's the total total cost? Where is it?
It's the average. Remember, all right. So remember, you must understand the expression. So remember, with the total cost is equals to variable cost.
Variable plus fixed.
That's fixed cost. But on average terms, it becomes average cost, because we are dividing that total cost by the quantity. It becomes average variable cost plus the average fixed cost. So here it has been presented in this format, but it is the same thing if you have to multiply it by the quantities to get the total.
Okay, so now that
yeah.
Sorry, man.
So when you're saying
So
total
now
cost,
that,
you're talking about the average cost curve here, in other words.
okay, the average, the AC.
Yes.
Okay.
And when you're saying variable cost, you're talking about the average variable cost.
Or okay, so that would be VC times the quantity.
Yes.
Okay, so AVC is that. Okay. Those are my variable costs. Okay. And then now what are you, what was the thing you're saying?
If right. So even if a firm is not able to cover its total costs or its average costs, it should remain in competition as long as it is able to cover its average variable costs.
Okay.
So
now how do I see that it covers my average variable cost? How do I interpret it?
You compare with the price. Which price are we talking about? Is the price above the average variable cost, or is the price below the average? So you see at P5 here is below the average variable cost. This is a shutdown price.
Then we must shut down.
It doesn't make sense here. The firm should exit the industry.
All right. But if it was at P3, we would continue in operations because we're over AVC.
Yes, above P4, starting from P4, P3,
Yes.
P2, P1, we should continue in operation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you now. All right.
All right. So that's anyone with a question here? That is what we are seeking to highlight. All right. Then we move on to the next, which is question 23. Okay.
Did we answer it?
Okay, I'm realizing it now. We didn't choose the correct answer there. So of the options that are given there, which one is the correct option? I see on the chat. B. Someone says B. Is that the correct one? Yes, B is the correct one. Do you all see that? Do you all see that B is the correct one? Do you all see that B?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. Now I was reading it. Now I can see it. Okay. Thanks for that.
Yeah. All right. So we move on to question 23. Question 23 reads, a crop failure causes supply of coffee to decline, while at the same time demand of coffee increases. What impact of those events on the market for coffee?
Didn't you say a while back that a failure of a certain supply does not necessarily increase the demand for the thing? Eh?
Yes, but in this particular instance, it has been mentioned that there is a definite demand increase in coffee. It has been mentioned, but if not mentioned, it does not necessarily mean,
that the demand changed. Okay. I think a crop failure causes the supply of coffee to decline, while at the same time the demand of the coffee increases. What impact would these events have on the market coffee? So I chose B. which is the equilibrium price, would increase. Yes. I think it's right.
All right. So let's try to graphically make sense of this. So if the demand curve and with the supply curve. So the moment we are told about a coffee crop failure, we understand it's a leftward shift in the supply curve because it affects supply. So therefore, our price has increased and our quantity is reduced. And at the same time, the demand has increased, but we do not know whether the increase in demand is going to offset the previous equilibrium. So the new equilibrium would be somewhere at this particular point where we have a higher price and we are not sure about the quantity demanded, whether it's above the previous or below the previous, but we understand that there's an increase. So crop failure, which of these events you have on the market supply? So the equilibrium quantity C, you said you chose which option?
Oh, sorry, man. I thought I was on mute and
I chose C.
Okay. Someone chose option C. Equilibrium quantity would decrease and the demand curve would shift, were to shift more than the supply curve. Okay. So if it were to shift more than the supply curve, all right, I think it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Okay. The equilibrium quantity would decrease if the demand curve were to shift. No. This one is not entirely true because you're saying that on option C, so I'm illustrating it on this short one. We have a supply curve, then we have a demand curve. So we're saying that if the supply curve increases lesser than the demand curve, so for instance like this, and the demand curve increases, for instance like this is the demand curve, the new demand curve. This is the old demand curve. So this is D0, this is D1, this is S0, and with S1. So you see that the increase in the demand curve there is greater. That means now we have a greater quantity and a greater price. That is what C is saying. So the equilibrium quantity would decrease, become a lie. If the demand curve were to shift more than the supply curve, that would be a lie, because if it were to shift more than the supply, the equilibrium quantity would actually be increasing, not decreasing. Are we together then?
Can you explain it again, Fortune?
All right. Okay. Are
I'm
you
not sure
able
I
to
get it.
visualize this small graph that I have down there?
Yes.
Okay. So you see, they're saying that if the equilibrium quantity would decrease, that means it would reduce, right? The demand curve, if the demand curve were to shift more than the supply curve. So let's illustrate the decrease in the demand curve, the decrease in the supply curve, which is lesser than the decrease in the supply curve. So if the demand curve is to shift more than the supply curve, so let's say the supply curve shifts that much. You see the amount of shift in terms of the magnitude. Do you see it? This small shift here where you can barely put even the pen itself, it's difficult to draw anything there.
Yes, correct. I see that.
Yeah. Then the demand now is greater. It means that the new supply curve that we have here and the new demand curve that we have here would be having a new quantity which is greater than the previous quantity that we had here at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that statement is contradicting itself. It's false. It's false. Then the quantity would increase the demand if the demand curve were to shift less than the supply curve. If the demand curve, that's also a lie. If the demand curve shifts lesser than this, then obviously it would actually decrease. That's a lie as well. Then the supply curve would shift to the right. That's a lie. The equilibrium price would increase. We know that whatever the case, whether the quantity demanded, the demand increases lesser or greater, whatever it is, what is likely going to be happening, whether we like it or not, is that the price is going to be increasing, which is option B. That is the correct answer. Are we together?
Yeah.
We are together, sir.
All right. Then we move on to question 24. Supply diagram below and answer, study the diagram below and answer the question. The monopolist shown is, the monopolist shown is, the monopolist shown is, the monopolist shown is, what is this monopolist shown doing? This is the average cost. This is the demand curve, the price curve. This is the marginal revenue curve. This is demand curve is also the average revenue and the price, but the marginal revenue is different because there's changes in the prices. In the profit maximizing.
Can you please be slow on this one? It also showed me flames. So please just explain it nicely like you explained the other one.
All right. So the first thing that you need to understand is, how do we determine profit of a monopolist? How do we determine the profit of a monopolist? Okay, because all of these answers here are talking about profit. How do we determine profit, especially for a monopolist? So profit for a monopolist is determined by, in average revenue terms. How is it determined? It is the difference between the what?
Sorry, in what? In
Okay, all right. Just explain how the profit for a monopolist is determined. So it is the difference between the revenue and the costs. So let me just, then we get the profit. So what we've been given here is the, and how did we say we derive the revenue? Remember what we were talking about earlier on? How do we calculate the revenue? How do we calculate the revenue? It's
price times the quantity sold.
Yes.
Yes.
And the costs, total costs, if we're given average costs, if we're not given average costs, it would be the total cost. So the total cost is also equal to average cost times quantity. It is also equal to, so I'll put this in brackets and put slash, or rather I'll just put continuous equal sign, is also equal to the variable cost plus the fixed costs. And what is it also equal to? How else do we calculate total cost? Yeah, so basically I think for now, let's just have that. Then we have the profit. Profit is the difference between the revenue and the cost. So in average revenue terms, it would be the price minus the average cost. In average revenue, in average terms. Then you multiply that by quantity for you to get the total revenue, total profit, sorry. But in general. And we still talked about the profit maximizing condition. We say the profit maximizing condition is where MR equals to MC. So with these scenarios here, we should be able to denote where our profit should be calculated. So this is a monopolist, and all right.
Yes.
Someone needs to mute themselves. All right, I've denoted a mistake here. This is not monopolistic competition, so this does not apply. Please pardon me. MR equals to MC applies to monopolistic competition and perfect competition. That's why I said that when they say monopolist, sometimes it confuses me. But irregardless, we understand that a monopolist sometimes produces quantity which is not MR as opposed to MC because it is not an efficient entity. So it produces sometimes along its decline of its average cost curve, not at the bottom of its average cost curve. So in this scenario, we need to be able to understand where the revenue is and where the price is and which is the total cost of the firm being incurred at that particular juncture. So since this is a monopolist usually charges prices that are higher. So therefore, it will not use its wait a minute before I confuse myself. Let me open the graph of a monopolist on the textbook, because I might end up explaining monopolistic competition instead of monopolist. So please bear with me there.
Okay.
It's on top. Okay, monopoly. All right. I'm looking for the graph. So the graph should be down there. All right. So this is the graph of a monopoly. So this one is in monopoly in the short run. So a monopoly in the short run, as you can see there, the figure shows the average revenue and the marginal revenue of a monopolist, and the monopolist profit is maximized at producing quantity D, quantity Q at price P1. You see that this is the price, and that is the quantity that it is producing at that particular point. And the economic profit per unit and output is the difference between MK, which is the difference between the price that it is getting on the average revenue curve with the average cost curve that it is getting at that particular juncture. So you'd see that at that point there, it is not the minimum of the average cost curve, indicating that it's a monopolist because it is inefficient. All right, so now I know the explanations that I'm supposed to be giving here. All right, so the price is determined when we touch the average revenue curve, which is the demand curve here. The demand curve here, that is where the price is determined. And the MR is equals to MC, helps us denote the quantity to be produced. Remember, the monopolist chooses either to maximize on the price or to maximize on the quantity. So if it is to produce at the profit maximizing quantity, which is MR is equals to MC, which is Q here, it means that the price that it is likely going to be getting, it is at this point here, at the average revenue curve, coming to B here. And the cost that it is incurring at that particular juncture is A here. The costs are higher than the revenue, indicating a loss of this area here. Let me try to shade it. Of this whole area here, this green area, is the loss that this monopolist is incurring. Why? Because we are understanding that the average costs, they are greater than the revenue, which is the average demand curve. So therefore, this monopolist is earning a loss. So what quantity of the loss is it earning? The difference between AB and OC. Which is option D. It's AB, so not OB. I had highlighted OB there, so it's option C. Okay.
So, sorry, for just for clarity. So you're saying so when demand, ne, let's say, so okay, I can see AC, ne? AC is the cost, right? And then you're saying how
OC, not
no no
AC.
no, I'm saying the average cost.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, sorry
Yeah,
about that.
the
Yeah,
average cost, ne,
yeah.
is the cost for that monopoly, ne? And
Uh-huh.
then the price, how do I determine? You say, is it
All right.
LC?
It's the price you touch the
Yeah.
demand curve or the average
Or
revenue curve. Yes.
the
The moment
average revenue curve or the
you go to the
demand curve.
x-axis, yeah.
Oh, so when where I touch the demand curve, right?
Yeah, you go straight to the x-axis, to the price axis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I
then you
see
go
where
to
my price. Okay, I see what the price is, and I see what the where it is. Now, if that AC was under the demand, then I would be making a profit.
Yes, as in the scenario here.
Oh.
Yes.
Yarr. Hey, okay.
Yeah. All right. Are we all together then? Are we all together there? Let's move on to the last question, which is question 25.
Yes.
Daniel Matthews, a footballer who is best. Is that a question? I heard like someone was asking a question or something. Okay, so it's not a question. So Daniel Matthews, a footballer who was based in Sweden, received a fine of $2,500 for a 2-match suspension for use of performance-enhancing drugs. Daniel receives a match fee of 5,000 per match from Sweden Footballers Board plus appearance money 10,000 per match from Adidas, and he also pays $500 per match for comprehensive insurance against injury. In opportunity cost terms, the cost of this incident for Daniel Matthews is rich footballers. So what is his opportunity cost? Value of the foregone alternative. What has been foregone? All right. So if Daniel has been fined for performance enhancements, wow, of all the performance enhancements, someone says, I think it's option C. Okay, can you explain why you say it's option C? So I see Tumi and Itumeleng. Why you're saying it's
There's
option C?
actually both Itumeleng, but for ease of reference, you can refer to me as Tumi. So
Okay.
yeah, basically, what I did right is I added, so the match fee per
Yes.
match, it's $5,000, right?
Uh-huh.
And then appearance money per match, I did $10,000, and then the insurance was $500, right? So what I did was that I said the 5,000 for the match fee. I added the 10,000 of the appearance money, and then I subtracted the insurance cost, right? And then I multiply that by 2, which is the number of matches. So then I have 14,500, and then I multiplied it by 2, which gave me $29. However, now if I'm adding the fine of 2,500, the total opportunity cost is going to be $29,000 plus $2,500, which will equate to $31,500. And that's how I came to see.
Okay. Anyone who is contesting against this one, I think it's comprehensive for me. I am not looking at it beyond this one because I will confuse myself anyway. Yeah, I think it makes sense. 2,500 to match suspension. So obviously is foregoing, is paying 2,500 and is going to forego 5,000 per match. 5,000 times 2, that's 10,000. And 10,000 times 2, 20,000. Already that's 30,000. And also pays 500.
Subtract. Sorry for that. Yeah.
Okay. Then so this times 2, that's 30,000, is it? Then 500 comprehensive insurance. Okay, so we are subtracting comprehensive insurance. Okay. Times 2, which is 1,000. Am I correct? From 30 to
Yes,
10.
you are.
Yeah, then that's
From
31,500. Okay, so I'm going with your answer. I think it makes sense. It makes economic sense. Makes a lot of economic sense. All right, so that brings us to the end of the paper. And you ended on a high note by answering this one, which is a good thing. So I think in the next session, do we still have time for the next session? Yes, I think we do, because you said you're writing on the 28th, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so I think
28.
30th.
30th. Okay.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, and I know there are two things there, 28th and 30, somewhere there. All right, so I think this paper is good enough. So in the next session, I don't know which paper we're going to tackle here.
I saw one that was shared. I don't know if it was from James's class. I think they're doing it today. It's from what is this? What is it? It was written in July.
In July. Okay.
In
All right.
2023.
All right. All right. July 2023. Oh, it's tough. It's tough. All right.
Yeah, it's tough.
I also have this one, this 23 August 2023 as well. All right, so let's try to attempt. I didn't want to repeat what James would have done in his class. Maybe you might have the access of the same information and become repetitive.
No, don't have
Oh, you don't?
access.
All right, it's fine. So then we are going to try and tackle that particular one, or this one. But let's can you share it with me? I think I don't have that particular one. Can you share it with me?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll forward. Let me see. I'll look for it. It's in that paid extra class thing. There's one way he said he's gonna do it at 7 p.m. What?
All right. Okay, it's fine. So I think we're going to look at that one in the next as our final preparatory elements.
Fortune, can you please ask James to upload all the economic stuff? Because honestly, we don't have any videos whatsoever. So there's no way we're able to make references. And especially for some of us whom have missed 1 or 2 classes. So it's really becoming difficult. So please just ask him to upload everything into our group.
All right. I'll definitely be up to that. All right. Anyone else with any submissions before we close?
Thank you.
All right. Until we meet again, goodbye.
Night, everyone.
Good night as well.